Guys, this is Saya signing in, and in today's video I thought we should talk about some of the rarest things that could ever happen to you or have happened before in Animal Jam, so the rarest occurrences in the game. So these are pretty much various things in the game that are very unlikely to happen, and when you do see them, or if it does happen to you in game, consider yourself a little bit lucky. Yeah, let's just hop right into it. So first here we have beta accounts. Now obviously beta accounts do still exist in the game, but there's a lot less of them in the game nowadays in comparison to previous years. Now there is a reason for that, and I'll probably make a video on it quite soon because I actually just found my own original beta account that I made when I first initially played this game. So let me know if you guys want to see that. But beta accounts are a very scarce thing nowadays, and what I mean is just non-member accounts that have member items equipped to them. So how they got them is obviously in the beta there was no such thing as member items, it was just all non-member. So if you had an item equipped during the beta and after the beta testing period ended, you pretty much got to retain those items if you still had them on your animal, essentially. A lot of them have disappeared, whether because the original accounts ended up getting membership or they just got deleted for inactivity. If you see some of them nowadays, consider yourself to be seeing a pretty rare sight. Next here is the news crew member. So either you see a news crew person or you are actually in the news crew. Both of these are pretty rare to come by nowadays. It was a little bit common back when a lot more people played Animal Jam, but I think now especially it is pretty hard to come by. I think in the last few years of the game I've maybe seen 2 or 3 news crew badges, and even then all those people are no longer active as well. But pretty much what the news crew was, it was essentially a sort of competition Animal Jam would host on the Daily Explorer, where they would make people write essays about certain topics, and if you got featured you were pretty much welcomed into the news crew and got given the badge on your account. Kind of wish that they would bring this back. I'd love an opportunity to get the news crew badge. It's one of my favorite badges and I think it's a really cool feature, but you know, hopefully they do bring it back sometime. Now, this isn't too uncommon nowadays, to be honest, but I still think it is kind of fitting for this kind of list, and that is seeing an item that is one of a kind. So there is a good few items. I'll throw some examples on screen of items that are only one of one in game, meaning only one of them exists throughout the entire game. Some people actually own multiple of these. However, it's kind of surreal thinking that there is only one of one, and you know, some people even own multiple of them. That is pretty rare in itself, but I say this is less uncommon than the rest of the things on this list because these kind of one-of-a-kind items are in circulation a lot in trading, and a lot of people do trade for them. So if you go to Brady's lab, for example, you're guaranteed to probably see one, but I figured it was mentioning because of the nature of it for this video. Next here we have the level 30 animals. So this has to do with adventures. So the more you open chests, complete tasks, those kind of things in adventures, you pretty much get XP, and the more you will level up. Obviously the more you level up, the slower it will take to get to the next level because there is more XP in between levels. Now there used to be a ton of flying animals with level 30, but I think for land animals it's a lot less common to see a land animal with the level 30, purely because land adventures take a lot longer than the flying ones. And to compare one land adventure to the Forgotten Desert adventure is going to take a lot less time than the land one. Or even having an underwater animal at level 30, I don't think I've ever even seen that, so that might be something someone could do in the future. But there is underwater adventures, albeit there's very few. However, I don't think I've ever seen a underwater animal with level 30, but if it does exist, that's definitely a very rare sight to see. Now this one, I figured I'd throw this in. It's a lot less common because it's harder to do nowadays, but back then I'm sure plenty full people had this, and this is a full buddy list. Now you're probably not gonna have a full buddy list unless you are purposely going out and buddying everybody you see, or just buddying everybody that sends you a buddy request. I usually buddy everybody that sends me a buddy request, and I've had my buddy requests on for about a month now, and I've only accumulated about 300. And I say it's a lot harder to get to 1,000 buddies now because there's obviously a lot less people playing. playing. In a previous video, I counted the average players playing Animal Jam on a daily basis, and obviously it could be more or less, and there's obviously different people logging in at different times as well, so it isn't just that static number, but this is definitely harder to do now. However, it isn't the most uncommon thing on this list, that is for sure. I figured I'd mention this here, glitched items being sold in stores. So this has happened a couple times, however, very few. I think most notably the magenta furry and glitched ring is what most people think of. However, the same could be said for something like the beta creature mask, where all three of these items were sold for a very few amount of hours that you could actually buy it before being changed out for a different variant of the item. Meaning the only people that bought the items within those few hours are the people that had them, and there's a very few amount of them in the game because there was obviously only a finite amount of them bought, and very less obviously compared to the variant that was supposed to originally be in the game and it got swapped out for. But I figured I'd mention this because it is kind of like you need to be at the right place at the right time. So, you know, if you're ever online and you see an item come out as soon as it comes out, maybe just pick up on one of each variant just in case this happens again someday. So this is probably the last mention of kind of rare items on this list. It's kind of similar to the last entry as well, where you kind of have to be at the right place at the right time, but there was a few amount of hours in the Forgotten Desert anyway, where you could actually get 2 unreleased items from the prize pool. However, it was reverted very quickly, and the people that ended up getting the prizes as well ended up getting the items removed from the game very shortly after. The 2 items I'm talking about, of course, are the horse coin and the stone sword, which both were ended up being released officially in some capacity, with the stone sword being released into the diamond shop with different variants, and a horse coin being released by HHQ themselves as a prize for a live stream a number of years ago, which I believe there's only 9 of them in game nowadays. But originally you could get this in the Forgotten Desert for a very few amount of hours before Animal Jam took it out for an unknown reason. It was never clarified on why they took it out or why they added it in the first place. However, it was pretty cool to see that there was this exclusive item in the adventure for a few hours. So having every achievement in the game is actually legitimately impossible. However, the achievements that are available and viewable when you open your achievement tab, this is a rare thing to have if you have every single one of them. There are like a 40 or 50 additional entries. However, none of them can be legitimately obtained besides like 3, which were obtainable at some point but are no longer obtainable. However, the time that would take to get every single achievement and the things you have to do in some of these mini games, it is extremely excruciating. Trust me, I've tried and I am still on my journey in trying to get all the achievements, but if you've done this legitimately, hats off to you. For the next entry here, this is also pretty excruciatingly long. Having a complete journey book. This is something not many people have, surprisingly enough. You know, personally, I tried to complete it on like every account I own. I think on my main account right now though, I only have like all the lands done because I haven't gotten around to doing the party ones, but who knows, by the time this video is being edited, I might already have finished it. However, it takes a long time in order to do all of this. If you're gonna grind it out in one night especially, it'll take you like a few hours, I think, just because there's some entries in the journey books that you have to wait like a couple minutes for, just because the timing of them. If you're watching and you have your complete journey book, do let me know in the comments, because it's always nice to see people actually putting the effort in on this one and actually completing the journey book. Now, the final entry on this list only ever happened twice, but rare item Mondays lasting the whole week. So you could pretty much buy the rare item Monday, even if it was like a Thursday for some reason. So this happened with the rare backpack and the rare knitted sweater for some reason. I'm not too sure why. It kind of defeats the purpose of a rare item Monday though, because you're buying the rim on like a Tuesday. It's not the day it should be in stores. I imagine it was an accidental kind of thing on HHQ's behalf, but it is kind of neat to think about that this has happened sometimes. However, a 99.999% of rims have been sold on the correct day, but it is funny to think about that this actually did happen at one point in time. But yeah, I think that's gonna conclude this video here. If you guys think there's anything else that is like an extremely rare occurrence, do let me know in the comments if I missed it. You know, something could have happened to you that could have not happened to nobody else, and there's like zero documentation of it. So do drop a comment down below if you think something else should have been on this list. Let's have a discussion about it. But yeah, let's go wrap it up here. Make sure to subscribe with notifications on if you guys do want to be notified on future videos, as well as videos just like this one. I had a lot of fun making this video and be interested in making similar stuff in the future. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy, and let me know what you thought of it in the comment section below. But yeah, with that, it's going to be Saya signing out.